And we are back, and we are back. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. You know, we bring you this content every day. It only takes a quick second. Hit the like button. Now, today, in this morning in court, things have been very, very interesting. We have kind of a hodgepodge of different people. You do have the cops who show up, but we're not going to have any of them in this video. You know, they're kind of boring. But what we do have that's interesting we have an ex-girlfriend of Quindarius Zachary. We have a sister. I think Woody's sister testified. Woody himself even showed up. He did not testify, but he came to chaperone an elderly woman who he used to be acquainted with. I guess they're still acquainted. And we have the stepfather of Woody's baby mama here, all testifying, y'all. Definitely giving interesting testimony. And things are moving by a lot quicker now that it looks like DA Love, she is in court today, but it looks like she's not quite in control the way she used to be. So without further ado, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and let's get into it.
Maybe like 10, I don't know, 9, 10. I was texted a letter supposedly written by my client regarding, so let me back up. My client was in a car with Tiara Jones when she was killed by, I think the state believes, members of the other side. And they believe that my client was the intended target.
Okay.
At some point, my client, according to the state's telling me this, wrote a letter about the incident, kind of an apology letter to Tiara Jones's family, as my understanding. I will say, as an officer of the court, I don't remember seeing that letter in discovery. I don't believe I've ever read that letter, but, you know, I'm not going to swear to it. But then apparently there was another letter where my client, that was sent to me last night at about 9:30 or 10, which I never had seen before, to my recollection, where my client basically recanted, I guess, what he said. I'm saying I guess what he said in the original letter because I haven't seen the original letter, so I don't know what he actually said. And my belief is that the state, and they've communicated with me about this, but they're seeking to admit these letters through Investigator Griffin. And I, who was the homicide investigator on that case, I'm just in the blind right now about these letters. One I've never seen, and it may or may not exist. The other one I've seen, I have no reason to believe that I don't know where it came from.
Who sent it to you?
Miss Hilton.
Okay.
And it's a letter, and it's signed, the name signed is Shannon Jackson. I don't know that my client wrote that letter. I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. And quite frankly, I just don't want, I need to know more about my client's statements.
Is this anything that's going to be dealt with this morning, or that the state intends this morning? No, Your Honor. Okay. Can we take it up at lunchtime?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Case alert, and good morning to everyone. Case alert, this honorable court. I have not, I'm sure it's an oversight, but Ms. Hilton, I don't believe, sent me that letter, and I don't have any reason to believe, from what the Honorable Mr. Sharp just said, that those letters or series of letters have anything to do to further a conspiracy under 24-801 D2E. So I'll also be voicing an objection. I just don't, later when you're doing it at lunch, I want you to budget for that too.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll sort it all out during the lunch break. Who's your first witness for this morning going to be?
Your Honor, we're trying to contact with the first witness.
Well, maybe we'll be sorting it out now after all. Do you have a second witness that you could put on instead of the first witness?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Sorting it out now after
Yes,
all.
Your Honor. We do have some other witnesses in the hallway, so we're just confirming who's, not confirming, but just gathering who's all in the hallway to make sure, to figure out who we're going to call first since the first witness isn't here.
Okay. And you'll know that within a matter of a minute or two?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, so what's the situation with this letter?
Yes, Your Honor. So One, we're confirming that this was served in discovery, Your Honor, so Ms. Love is going to work on that while we're taking these next couple of witnesses. Mr. Stillwell was a victim in an incident in September of 2015. Right. He did an interview at police headquarters in November of 2015. Right. In that interview, he asked to write a letter to the family of Tierra Jones. That is the letter, that's the first letter that Mr. Shar is referencing. That is the letter he does not have yet. After he wrote this, did the interview with the investigator, he actually was able to provide some information for the investigation. Subsequently, the information that he provided was put on social media. And after that information was put on social media, we have a letter purported to be from Mr. Stillwell in which he recants what he told the police officers. So that is the letter that was provided to Mr. Shard last night, Your Honor. I didn't send it directly to Mr. Shard since it involved his client. I will send it to all the other defense counsel, but I specifically sent it to Mr. Shard because it involved his client specifically, and him and I had talked about it in court yesterday, and I told him I would provide him everything that we intended to potentially seek admission so that he could have it. But again, we will confirm that it was served in discovery. If it was not served, we will not use it, but we will. That's what we are confirming, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're saying that the original November letter was never served?
That's what we're confirming.
So you need to check about both letters?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, just if this, I did not know about this. So there's further complications, such as my understanding the interview that prompted the first letter. My client was in the hospital. I don't know if he had already been served an arrest warrant for the Donovan Thomas case, but I don't believe he was Mirandized. And then there's I guess another interview when he's taken from the jail. I don't believe he was Mirandized for that interview either. So there's all sorts of issues with this statement that I'm trying to piece together now in real time, but it's complicated.
So I was always under the impression that Mr. Shard had the interviews because I believe we've talked about his client's statements.
Right, so there are interviews and then there are letters.
Correct. So there are 3 interviews total. So
I don't think he's claiming he doesn't have the interviews.
I do not believe I received the interviews through discovery. In full candor to the court, I knew about the interviews, but the state has always said they don't plan to use the interviews.
Okay.
And we don't. I told Mr. Shard that yesterday. So there are 2 interviews at the hospital, one on the 26th when the incident occurred, another 2 days later on the 29th of September. Then in November of 2015, Mr. Stillwell was taken from the jail to speak with Investigator Thorpe, separate and apart from his conversation with Investigator Griffin. The understanding that I have, and even in watching the interview, is that after Mr. Stillwell finished speaking with Detective Thorpe, Mr. Stillwell asked to speak to Investigator Griffin, who was the lead investigator on a case in which he was a victim. Right. At that point, Investigator Griffin came into the interview room, spoke with Mr. Stillwell at Mr. Stillwell's request, gave the information that he gave during that interview, and then that interview concluded. That interview is about 25 minutes long. The state, again, does not intend to play that interview unless there's a need for it. But initially, when we question Investigator Griffin, we don't intend to introduce the interview. We do intend to ask about the interview, but not play it. Then again, like I said, there was a social media post thread about the fact that Mr. Stillwell had given a statement to police about the case in which he was a victim. And then this subsequent letter came in which he recanted everything that he said in the November interview. Okay, and the state's had both of these letters for some amount of time? Yes, Your Honor. All right, and y'all believe you served them in discovery, but you're not sure, and so you're going to have to check that. So So the interview was served on March 20th, 2023.
The November interview?
The November and the 2 September interviews.
What about the letters? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
In the interest of time, and so we're not guessing.
We still can't hear you.
In the interest of time. In the interest of time, and so we're not guessing for the court and counsel, I think lunchtime would be a great time for us to be able to look to see when.
All right. Do we have witnesses ready? Okay, who is your first witness going to be? Who is your first? Okay, Officer Jones. Officer Jones, who is where on this witness list? Number 8. Okay. All right, ready for the jury? Yes, let's get the jury in.
Your Honor, Westmoreland over here. While the jury's walking in, can you please give a reminder about the mics? Because I don't want to interrupt someone.
All right, everybody use the mics. It's very difficult to hear if you don't talk into the mics.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Ross. And if somebody wants to use the lapel mic while they're questioning, that is fine as well. Is there somebody who can swear the witness? Where did all the...
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in the matters pending before this court and this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am? I do. Okay, you can put your hand down. And if you'll just have a seat, and then make sure you pull the chair up a little bit, because you're very light spoken, so everybody can hear you, okay? Now, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell the jurors, Ms. Good, where are you from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Are you born and raised?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do for work?
I'm a clerk.
Okay. And do you live, the majority of your family also live in the greater Atlanta area?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell the jurors how you know, or if you know, a gentleman named Quindarius Zachary?
I dated Quindarius Zachary.
Okay. And could you tell the jurors how long did you date Mr. Zachary?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember when you and Mr. Zachary met?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me when you guys met?
I don't know the date, but I remember it was after a club.
Okay. And do you and Mr. Zachary have any children together?
No.
Okay. And were you dating Mr. Zachary, let's say back in 2015?
I don't remember.
Okay. Now, let's see if we can try to jog your memory a little bit. So, when you and Mr. Zachary were dating, did you ever share a home together?
I believe so.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And did you call him Quindarius, or did you have a nickname that you generally called him?
D.
D? Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you tell the jurors, through your relationship, did you, can you tell them where Mr. Zachary was from? What part of Atlanta?
Capitol Homes.
Okay. And where is Capitol Homes?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Okay. And back in 2015, did Mr. Zachary live off of Cleveland Avenue with his mom?
I believe so.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, did you have an opportunity to go to his house where he lived with his mom off of Cleveland Avenue on multiple occasions?
Yes.
Okay. And just to orient the jurors, where on Cleveland Avenue, if you can describe, did they live?
I believe behind the Checkers.
The Checkers? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, during your time that you spent in a relationship with Mr. Zachary, can you tell the jurors, did you have an opportunity to kind of meet some of his friends or associates?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to meet a gentleman named Antonio Sledge?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what about someone named Shannon Stillwell?
Yes.
Okay. And what about someone named Jeffrey Williams?
No.
Okay. Do you know, was that somebody that Mr. Zachary would spend time with, someone named Jeffrey Williams?
That's what he told me.
Okay. And what about, had you ever had an opportunity to meet someone named Demikian Garlington?
Yes.
Okay. And were they, any of the people we just mentioned that you had met, did you, I guess, hang out with them often, go to restaurants or clubs, or hang out at people's houses with them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the time that you were dating and in a relationship with Mr. Zachary, can you tell the jurors, did you ever see him with firearms that he owned?
Yes, I was with him when he purchased one.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, when you were with him, where did he purchase a firearm?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember when you were with him, what kind of firearm or what the firearm looked like when you were there when he purchased it?
No.
Okay. Now, can you tell the jurors, were there times, or were you with Mr. Zachary, and were you aware in 2015, in May, that Mr. Zachary was arrested?
Can you be specific?
In around May 7th, were you aware with Mr. Zachary when he was arrested?
I believe so.
Okay. And do you remember a time that when Mr. Zachary was in custody, he would call you, I guess, through the jail phone?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember that after one of the phone calls that you had with Mr. Zachary in September of 2015, you reached out to ATF agents?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember, can you tell the jurors why you reached out to ATF agents or law enforcement?
Because Quindarius wanted me to see why was he arrested.
Okay. And after that phone call on September 16th of 2015, did you go and meet with some agents and detectives at the City of Atlanta Police Department a couple days later?
I did.
Okay. And on September 18th of 2015, do you remember who you met with?
I don't.
Okay. Can you tell the jurors or describe for them, was it a man, a woman, was it both?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember multiple people being in the room when you were speaking with law enforcement on September 18th?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, when you arrived, I guess, to speak with the law enforcement agents, can you tell the jurors, did you talk with them about some of the guns that you knew that Mr. Zachary owned?
I believe so.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, did you talk with them about some specific guns that he shared or gave to some friends that we've mentioned here today?
I remember hearing it, but I don't remember it actually happening.
Okay, so when you say you remember hearing it, prior to today, you had an opportunity to listen to a recording of your interview with ATF agents and members of the Atlanta Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and when you listened to that recording, did you recognize your voice?
I did.
Okay, and it's something that you listened to from start to beginning?
Yes.
Okay. And was there anything about that recording when you were speaking that made you think it wasn't your voice?
No.
Okay. And do you actually, remember actually going to meet with them back in 2015? Maybe not the context or content of what was said, but you actually remember going to that meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and during that meeting, do you remember talking with and telling the detectives that Mr. Zachary had given a firearm to Antonio Sledge?
Yes.
Okay, and do you remember talking to and describing the firearm that he had given to Antonio Sledge?
Not really, but okay.
In listening to the recording, do you remember telling the detectives that he gave Antonio Sledge a small black handgun, the one that you were with him when he purchased it?
I do.
Okay, and
Yes. Do you want the witness to?
okay, so I want to talk to you, pivot just for a second. We talked a little bit earlier about some of the people that you described that you had met that were friends or associates of Mr. Zachary. Remember that?
Yes.
And you and Mr. Zachary, you dated for multiple, or did you date for multiple years?
I believe so.
Okay. And in the times that you and Mr. Zachary dated, can you describe for the jurors, did he, based on your personal knowledge, hang out with Mr. Williams, Jeffrey Williams, on a number of occasions?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
You want me to answer that?
Yes.
I've never actually seen him hang with him.
Let me ask you this question. You're familiar with social media, Instagram,
Objection
Facebook?
to the leading question.
Are you familiar with,
Overruled. Well, yeah.
are you familiar with social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, things like that?
Yes.
And do you have those things?
Yes.
And did Mr. Zachary back then also have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those good things?
I believe so.
And in the number of years that you were in a relationship with Mr. Zachary, did you see photographs of Mr. Zachary and Mr. Williams together?
Yes, but I didn't think he knew him then.
Okay. Well, when you saw, your testimony is you saw photographs where they were hanging out, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah, no, I'm going to object. That's a mischaracterization of the witness's answer.
I'll rephrase. Were they hanging out in the photographs?
I don't know if they was hanging out. I'm not sure. I wasn't there, but it was a picture of them together.
Okay. And did you see pictures of the two of them together on multiple occasions?
I believe so.
Okay. And in the times that you were in a relationship with Mr. Zachary, did he travel with Mr. Williams?
Objection, hearsay.
I don't remember.
Rephrase.
Were there times when Mr. Zachary was traveling and you and Mr. Zachary be on a FaceTime call and you would see...
Objection to that leading question.
Did you FaceTime Mr. Zachary when he was traveling?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember telling the agents that there were times that you would FaceTime Mr. Zachary when he was traveling?
I believe so, but I don't remember actually FaceTiming him while he was traveling.
Okay. Well, do you remember in the recording that you listened to, you described FaceTiming with Mr. Zachary at times?
I believe so.
And in one of the occasions that you described, or do you remember one of the occasions that you described FaceTiming with Mr. Zachary, that he was traveling with Mr. Williams?
I don't remember.
Okay. And do you remember, would you dispute that you said that during the recording that you listened to?
Can you repeat that question?
Would you, in the recording that you listened to, if that's in there, would you dispute that? Would you say that isn't true?
Are you asking would I say that it's true that he was traveling with Mr. Williams?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay. And do you remember during that interview, you also talked about times that you dropped Mr. Zachary off at the studio and Mr. Williams was there?
Objection. Calls for hearsay. It's leading. It's speculation.
Sustained to leading.
So let me break that down. Were there times during your relationship with Mr. Zachary that you dropped him off at different studios?
I don't remember.
Okay, do you remember telling the detectives that was something that you would do?
I believe so.
And do you remember telling the detectives on at least one occasion when you dropped Mr. Zachary off at the studio, Mr. Williams, you saw Mr. Williams?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember telling the detectives that?
I remember listening to it and seeing it, but I don't remember seeing him.
So you heard yourself say that?
I did hear myself say that.
Now, during that interview with the ATF agents and the Atlanta Police Department, God bless you. Scared me. Now, you talked about other firearms that Mr. Zachary had given to
I'm going to
other
object to the
friends.
leading question.
Overruled.
You can answer the question.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes. Do you remember talking and telling the agents and the detectives in September of 2015 about other firearms that Mr. Zachary had given to other friends?
I do, but I don't remember any other firearms.
Okay. And when you say I do you remember hearing yourself say that when you listened to the recording?
I do.
Okay. And do you remember hearing yourself say during that interview and on the recording that he gave...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. It's based on hearsay.
I might have to look at the recording, the
Okay.
interview.
State would say that it's an exception to hearsay because it's impeachment due to a prior inconsistent statement of Mr. Zachary.
Same objection. There's no predicate for impeachment by an inconsistent statement.
Yeah, that's our issue that we discussed up here.
Well, can we approach?
Sure.
2015, where you described that Mr. Zachary and Mr. Williams were friends. Do you remember saying that?
I don't remember saying it, but I remember hearing it.
So you remember hearing yourself say that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you also remember or hearing yourself say and describe that Mr. Zachary and Mr. Williams traveled to places like Miami on multiple occasions?
I
I'm going
remember.
to object again on the grounds of hearsay.
Overruled.
He has personal knowledge.
Well, I sustained as to that. I assume that's what you're asking.
Do you remember telling the detectives and the agents that you had personal knowledge that Mr. Zachary and Mr. Williams traveled to Miami on multiple occasions?
I don't remember.
Do you remember hearing yourself say that?
I do.
Okay. Now, I want to bring your attention to January 12th of 2015, okay? do you remember talking to the detectives and the agents about an incident that happened at the Crystals off of Cleveland Avenue?
I do.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors who is Antrivia Smith?
My cousin.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors around that time in 2015 in January, was your cousin Miss Smith dating somebody that you knew by the nickname Kel?
I don't know who she was dating at the time.
Okay. And do you know or did you know someone who you referred to as Kel?
I don't.
Do you remember talking to the detectives and officers with the Atlanta Police Department about somebody you knew by the name of Kel?
I do.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, do you remember going to that Crystals to meet your cousin, Miss Smith, around 1 o'clock that morning on January 12, 2015?
I do.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, were you driving?
I don't remember.
Okay. Were you with anyone?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you know a person with the last name Miss Anderson?
I do.
Okay. And do you remember talking to me yesterday about the fact that she was in the passenger seat of your car that night when you went to the Crystals to meet your cousin?
I do.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what you remember when you got to the Crystals that you did?
I remember pulling up on the side of my cousin, and me and her was talking and playing, and then we heard a gunshot.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, you said you heard gunshots. Do you remember talking to the
A gunshot.
Okay. Do you remember talking to the detectives and telling them where the gunshot came from?
I do.
Okay. Can you tell the jurors?
I believe I told them that the guy in the passenger seat had shot the gun.
Okay. And in the passenger seat of whose car?
My cousin.
Miss Smith?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors, I guess, who that person was in the passenger seat of your cousin's car, Miss Smith?
I don't know him, so I don't know, but they told me that it was the guy that she was dating.
Well, I don't want you to tell me what anybody else said, but let me ask you this question. Do you remember telling officers that responded that night, as well as agents and other detectives on September 18th of 2015, that the person in the passenger seat of your cousin's car was someone that you knew by the nickname Kel?
I do.
And do you remember hearing yourself on that recording and from that night on January 12th, describing to them how you had just requested him on Instagram?
I do.
And do you remember providing them with the Instagram handle for Mr. Kel?
I do.
Okay. And do you remember the Instagram? Do you remember what Instagram handle you told the officers and the detectives what Mr. Kel's handle or ID was?
I think I believe. I don't know.
Okay. You said you think you believe so?
I don't really remember.
Okay. Well, can you describe for the jurors or tell the jurors the handle that you remember giving to the Atlanta Police Department that night?
I think it was like BMG something. I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember it being BGC MB _ Kel?
Probably so.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what kind of car was your cousin driving that night? Do you remember?
I don't.
Do you remember telling the officers that responded that your cousin was in a red Pontiac Grand Prix?
I don't.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors after the officers arrived, after the shooting incident, Well, first, were you injured?
I was not.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors after you spoke with the officers where you went? Do you remember?
I don't remember where I went.
Okay. Do you remember telling them and talking to me yesterday about the fact that you went to Mr. Zachary's home off of Cleveland Avenue that we talked about today, where he lived with his mom?
I believe so, but I don't remember where I went.
Okay. And do you remember telling the officers and talking to me yesterday that when you got to Mr. Zachary's apartment that early morning, that Mr. Zachary wasn't there?
I believe so.
Okay. And do you remember what you told the detectives and what you told me yesterday as to where he was on January 12th of 2015?
I believe I said Miami.
Okay. And do you remember telling the detectives that you knew he was in Miami because that's when you had FaceTimed him earlier that day, and he was in Miami?
Probably so.
Okay. Now, can you tell the jurors how you know someone named Miss Alexis Bryant?
That's Quindari's cousin.
Okay. And back in 2015, was that somebody that you would consider a friend or you'd hang out with?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. Was she somebody that you had hung out with or been with on more than one occasion?
Yes.
Okay. And had you been to her home in the Eagles Nest apartment complex before?
Yes.
And about how many times do you think you had been to her apartment?
I don't remember.
More than one?
Probably so.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, have you ever been to a club here in Atlanta called Club Crucial?
I have.
Okay. And is that somewhere you had been more than once before April 28th, 2015?
Probably so.
Okay. Well, is that a spot that you and Mr. Zachary and his friends, whoever it may be, would hang out on, I guess, a monthly basis or more than once a month?
I guess you could say that.
Okay. Now, do you remember talking to the detectives back in September of 2015 about a fight that you saw at Club Crucial on April 28th of 2015?
I do, but I don't remember a fight. I remember hearing it, but I don't remember a fight.
Okay. And when you were listening to that recording, do you remember telling the detectives that the fight?
Objection to the leading question.
Do you remember telling the detectives that Mr. Garlington was jumped that night?
I remember hearing myself say that.
Okay. And you remember hearing yourself say that you actually witnessed the fight?
I remember hearing myself say that.
Okay. And do you remember during that recording who you told the detectives kind of jumped in to help Mr. Garlington when he was being beat up?
I remember hearing myself say Antonio Sledge.
Okay. Do you remember also telling the detectives that person you knew as Tay jumped in to help as well?
I don't remember telling. I remember hearing myself say it. So I remember hearing myself say that.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors, how do you know Tay?
I don't remember how I know him.
Okay. Do you remember telling the detectives that you knew Tay through Miss Bryant
Probably so.
and telling the detectives that Tay was Miss Bryant's boyfriend.
Probably so.
And can you tell the jurors what you remember saying or what you remember hearing yourself say in that recording after the fight was broken up, what you did?
I don't remember what I said.
Do you remember telling the detectives that at that point you were leaving the club? Remember that?
Probably so.
And can you tell the jurors what you remember telling the detectives happened as you were leaving Club Crucial?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this line of questioning. I believe it's appropriate to ask what happened before we ask what she said.
Do you remember what happened when you walked out of Club Crucial that early morning on April 28th of 2015?
I do not.
I don't know what it is. It's not me. I'm not wearing one. Do you remember, so you said you don't remember what happened when you walked out to the parking lot of Club Crucial?
I don't.
Do you remember hearing yourself on that recording describe to the detectives and the agents what happened?
Kinda, yes.
Okay, what do you remember hearing yourself say?
I believe I said I went to Alexis Bryant's house.
Okay, and what did you tell the detectives happened before you went to Miss Bryant's house?
I don't remember.
Because you don't remember telling the detectives and then talking to me yesterday and telling me that when you were in the parking lot, a shooting happened at Club Crucial.
No, I don't remember telling you that either yesterday.
Okay, and now you said after you left Club Crucial, how did you get to Miss Bryant's house?
I don't remember.
Okay, and when you say you went to Miss Bryant's house, is this the same apartment that we talked about a little earlier that you had been to on multiple occasions?
Yes.
Okay, and can you tell the jurors who was at Miss Miss Bryant's house when you went there that early morning on April 28th?
I don't remember.
Do you remember Alexis being there?
Not really, but I'm pretty sure she was there.
Okay. Well, do you think that you went to Miss Bryant's house by yourself?
No.
Okay. Did you have a key to Miss Bryant's house?
No.
So in order to get in, would Miss Bryant or somebody she lived with have to let you in?
Yes.
Okay. And you got into her apartment that morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember how long you were at Miss Bryant's home?
I don't.
Let me ask you this question. You said you don't remember, but how do you know that you were there?
Because I remember I was there.
Okay, so you remember that part?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell the jurors while you were there what happened that early morning at the apartment?
I was asleep. I was drunk, asleep, and I woke up to a call from Quindarius, and he told me.
Don't tell me what Mr. Zachary told you. Just tell me what you remember hearing or what happened at the apartment that you physically observed or heard.
I heard gunshots.
Okay. And do you remember how many gunshots you heard?
No.
All right. And is that what woke you up, the gunshots?
The second time, yes.
Okay. And after you heard the gunshots, can you tell the jurors kind of what happened or what was going on inside of Miss Bryant's apartment? Do you remember?
What you mean?
Well, did you get up? Did you leave? Did you go back to sleep? What did you do after you heard gunshots?
I don't remember what I did. I just remember waking up the next morning at my mom's house.
Okay. And, well, let me ask you this question. When you heard gunshots, you believe Do you remember if it was more than one, two, was it multiple?
It was multiple.
Okay. And did hearing the gunshots, or the gunshots that woke you up the second time, did that surprise you? Like, were you expecting to hear gunshots that night?
No, but it didn't surprise me either.
Okay. Why not?
It just didn't.
We said it just didn't. Can you explain to the jurors why it just didn't surprise you?
Objection as to relevance.
Because
Overruled.
I wasn't scared, so it didn't surprise me.
Did any of the gunshots that you heard, did they come into Miss Bryant's apartment?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you talk to any police after you heard gunshots that early morning?
I don't remember, honestly.
Now, let's talk a little bit about something that you listened to in the recording with the agents in September of 2015. Can you tell the jurors, do you remember talking to them about Donovan Thomas or Nuts' murder?
I believe I heard myself say something about it.
Okay. And do you remember talking to the detectives about where Mr. Zachary was when Mr.
I'm going to object to the hearsay. That it calls for hearsay.
It doesn't. The answer does not.
Okay. I'll listen to the rest of the question and then make a determination.
Do you remember talking to the detectives about how you knew where Mr. Zachary was when Mr. Thomas was killed?
Okay, overruled.
I believe so.
Okay. And do you remember telling the detectives that he was actually...
Objection to the leading question and that it calls for hearsay.
Do you remember what you told the detectives as to why you had personal knowledge of where Mr. Zachary was?
I do.
Okay. Can you tell the jurors?
I was with him.
Okay. And when you say you were with him, were you at his house, your house? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. And do you remember talking to the detectives about how you had personal knowledge of where Antonio Sledge was during that time?
I do.
And can you tell the jurors a little bit about that, how you knew where he was?
I believe I told them that they were on FaceTime together.
No questions from Mr. Williams.
Anyone else? All right. Ms. Good, thank you for your time. You're excused. Call your next witness.
They will call Sergeant Fernandez.
Okay. She hadn't been sworn. Can you stand up and be sworn?
You raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony you give today the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I have a seat. State and spell your first and last name for the court. Please down into that mic.
Wakethia Brock, Wykethia.
Pull that mic real close to you, okay?
Wakethia Brock, Wykethia. Brock.
And Ms. Brock, good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you from?
Atlanta.
Okay. And were you born and raised here?
Yes.
All right. And do you work?
Yes.
What type of work do you do?
I'm a manager.
And in 2015, where did you live?
Oakland City.
Oakland City?
Yes.
And what was your address in 2015 in Oakland City?
878 Oakland City. Oakland Drive.
All right. And how long did you live at that residence?
Like 8 years.
And so in 2015, you had lived there for 8 years?
I guess, yeah.
All right. And do you have any siblings?
Yes.
How many?
It's 10 of us.
10. I want to specifically ask you about 2. Do you know someone by the name of Kenneth Copeland?
Yes.
Is that one of your siblings?
Yes.
And do you also know someone by the name of Rontrez Brock?
Yes.
Is he one of your siblings?
Yes.
Between the 3 of you, who's oldest?
Rancher's.
All right. And then who's next?
Me.
And then is Kenneth younger than both of you?
Yes.
Right. Back in 2015, did Kenneth ever live with you or stay with you at your home on 878 Oakland Drive?
Yes.
All right. How often would he stay at that home?
Whenever.
Did you say whenever?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 1 Triple D.
It'll come up on that screen right in front of you if you don't want to have to strain your neck.
Do you recognize what's in State's Exhibit 1 Triple D?
Yes.
How do you recognize what's in State's Exhibit 1 Triple D?
That's where I stayed.
It is at the house at 878 Oakland Drive.
Yes.
Now, Rontrez Brock, did he ever live at that home with you and Kenneth?
Yes.
All right. And in 2015, did Rontrez have another address where he was living?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did he ever live off of Maury Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the Village at Carver Homes? Is that a yes for me?
Yes.
Right. And do you know while Rontrez was living at the Village at Carver Homes, with Kenneth Copeland ever stay with him at that location sometimes?
Yes.
All right. And back in 2015, do you recall if your brother Rontrez had a vehicle?
I guess, yeah.
Specifically,
Ma'am, I'm going to need you to just pull the whole mic closer to you. It moves. Like, pull the base of it closer to you.
Specifically, do you remember if he ever had a white Dodge Charger?
Yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention to January 13th, 2015. Did you ever have the occasion to call the police to come to your home?
I did.
Why did you have to call the police to come to your house?
Because I got a threat on Instagram.
Okay. And once you got the threat on Instagram, was there else at your home?
Say it again?
You got a threat on Instagram. Was there anything else? Was there any other reason why you called the police?
No.
All right. Did you ever have any damage to your home?
When? Before or after?
After receiving the threat?
Okay, make it make sense with.
Sure. Let me ask you this. Did you ever have your home shot with bullets?
Yes.
Okay. And was that around the same time you received this threat?
That was after I got locked up.
Okay. When did you get locked up?
After I called the police.
Okay, so you got a threat, got locked up, and then you called the police?
I got a threat. I called the police. They escorted me to my grandma's house. They called me back out and locked me up.
Okay. Once you were locked up, did you ever come home and found that your home was had been shot at or shot up?
Yes.
All right. How long between the time you got locked up and the time you got home? Do you remember how many days that was?
It was the same day.
The same day. Okay. When you got home, what did you find? What do you remember seeing when you came home and saw that your home had been shot up?
Bullet holes. Bullet holes.
Okay. And did you know who had shot up your home?
No.
Right. And when the police came out to the location, did you give that information to the police that you came home and your home had been shot up?
Yes.
All right. And prior to you going to jail, had your home been shot up?
No.
Had anything like that ever happened to your house while you were living there those 8 years? I'm going to show you a few other pictures. I'm going to show you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 3 Triple D. Were you out there when the police took any of these pictures?
No.
All right. I'm going to show you 15 Triple D. I'm going to show you 19 Triple D. 23 Triple D. 24 Triple D. 28 Triple D. And 29 Triple D. Was that the holes and the damage that you found to your home when you came home after being released from jail back in January 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And is that everything that you showed the police back when you called the police to report that this occurred at your house?
Yes.
All right. Court's in. And let me ask you this. Were you locked up for calling the police, or were you locked up for something else?
Something else.
Okay. And what was that?
A failure to appear.
All right. All right. I have no further questions.
Any
Your Honor.
defense attorneys?
No
with
questions.
None? Okay. All right, Ms. Brock, thank you for your time, and you are excused. Call your next witness.
At this time, the state is going to call Mr. Emmett Yarborough to the stand.
Raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Have a seat. All right. Pronounce your first and last name. Spell your first and last name for the court's work. Loud and clear.
Emmett Yarborough, EMMETTYARBROUGH.
Good morning, Mr. Yarborough. Are you employed?
Yes.
And what do you do for work?
I work for the Department of Public Works.
And how long have you worked in that capacity?
I've been there 3 months.
Okay, specifically, what's your job?
I empty the trash can for the city.
And where do you live?
Outside the city right now.
Okay. And was there ever a time that you lived inside the city?
Yes.
And when you say the city, what city are you referencing?
Atlanta.
Okay. And do you recall residing at an address of 88 Venera Avenue, Southeast Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes.
Okay. And in what county is that address located?
Fulton.
And from what time frame did you live there?
I say like from 2010 and 2015.
Okay. And did you live with anyone at that address, or did you live there alone?
No, me and my wife.
Okay. And what is your wife's name?
April Quarterman.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said the last name?
April Quarterman.
Okay. And how long have you been married?
8 years.
How long have you been together?
25.
And do you all share any children in common?
No, just stepkids.
Okay. And what's the names of your stepchildren?
David Quarterman, DeAnthony Quarterman, Deshaun Quarterman.
Okay. Is Deshaun a girl or a boy?
A girl.
And I'm going to direct your attention, just a brief moment. I'm going to direct your attention to the date of January 11th, 2015. Do you remember that date?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you remember about that date in brief?
It's depending on what you talking.
Sure. Do you recall law enforcement coming out to your home on that morning?
Yes.
What do you recall about them having to come to your home on that morning for?
My house was shot up.
All right. I want to unpack some of that. Around or about what time would you say, Mr. Yarborough, was your home shot up?
Anywhere between 11:45, 12 o'clock that night.
And what were you doing at that time when your home was shot up?
I was sleeping.
Okay. And in the home that you're describing, about how many bedrooms are therein?
That was three bedroom. It was a 3-bedroom house.
And was anyone else home at the time that it was shot up, as you described?
No, I was the only one there.
Okay. And when you were asleep, and you heard the shots, well, let me ask this question. Did you hear the shots ring out that impacted your home?
Yes, that what woke me up.
Okay. And when you heard the shots that hit your home, what, if anything, did you do at that time?
I hit the floor once I realized it was gunshots.
Right. And were these gunshots shots that were single fire shots, or did they sound like a machine gun?
No, it was a machine gun.
All right. And when you say machine gun, are you saying that it sounded like they were in rapid succession?
They were shooting an AK-47.
Okay. And where was your wife at the time that the shooting occurred?
She was at my sister's birthday party.
Okay. Were you supposed to be there that evening?
Yes.
And why did you choose not to go?
I wasn't feeling good. I had a headache.
When the shooting was occurring at your home, about how long did it last?
Probably about anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay. And when the shooting, after the shooting occurred, I should say, did you happen to see anybody?
No.
Did you hear anybody?
No, I did not.
What was the next thing that you did after hearing the shots?
I called 911, then I called my wife.
Okay. And did you call any of your stepchildren?
No.
Okay. And what did you tell your wife?
That our house was just shot up.
And did she come to the home? Do you recall if she came to the home after receiving that call?
Yes, she came immediately.
Did anyone else come to the home after that news had been delivered?
Yeah, I had several relatives pull up. Then our kids started pulling up.
Okay. Was Deshaun Quarterman amongst the children that came to the home that evening?
Not at first. We were still trying to locate her.
Okay. And why were you trying to locate her?
Because we had got word that it was a threat on her life.
Objection to the hearsay.
Sustained.
Without saying what anybody said, why were you looking for your stepdaughter at that time?
We were trying to make sure all our kids were safe.
Your Honor, that does not call.
Overruled.
You may answer the question.
We were trying to make sure all our kids were safe because our house was just shot up for no reason.
Okay. Was there a time that Deshaun lived at that home located at 88 Venera Avenue, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah, she stayed there until she graduated high school in 2011 before she went off to college.
Okay. Would she stay there? Would she stay there or spend the night at different times during that time frame after she had graduated?
No, she had got her own apartment.
Okay. And around what side of town did she stay on?
Over there off of, by Carver Home.
Okay. And what side of town do you know that to be?
The west side.
Okay. And do you know, can you describe what relationship, well, let me ask this question. Do you know a person by the name of Kenneth Copeland, a.k.a. Lil Woody?
Yes.
How do you know Lil Woody?
He has a child by Deshaun, which is my granddaughter.
And how old is that child?
She's 10. She turned 10 this year.
Okay. And were there ever times where Deshaun and Lil Woody would be over your home together?
Yes.
How often would you say that Lil Woody would be present at your home?
It wasn't often because I actually didn't want a lot of people at my house.
Okay. Was there any particular reason? Let me rephrase. Did you have a problem with Woody being at your home?
I had a problem because I had a daughter who had a boyfriend who wanted to spend the night with her, and I wasn't going to allow that.
That's fair. That's fair. Did you have any other reason to not want to not want Woody near your home?
Objection to relevance.
Overruled.
Could I answer that question?
Yes, you can.
Being a parent and knowing that he was a street guy, nobody want their daughter talking to a street guy. Basically, bottom line.
Okay. And I hear you say something about being a street guy. What do you have in mind when you say that?
Woody was in the streets.
Okay. When you say in the streets, is it fair to say that you are articulating that he was around people you didn't like?
I didn't know too much know anybody that he hung with, but it's just the things that you heard that he did in the street.
Okay. It's just a brief indulgence, Your Honor. When the gunfire hit your home, were you impacted by any of the shots?
No, was I hurt?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Do you know anyone else in the community or nearby area to have been hurt or their home affected by the gunfire?
Cause for hearsay. Objection.
Rephrase.
Did you see anyone else in the community injured?
No.
Did you see anyone else's home impacted by gunfire?
No, I did not see it.
Did you see anyone else's vehicles impacted by the gunfire that rang out that morning?
No.
How long did your daughter, Deshaun Quarterman, date Lil Woody?
I think they wound up separating probably like a couple of months after the baby was born. He was in and out of jail.
I'm sorry, you said after the...
They broke up a couple of months after their baby was born.
Okay. Sorry. And do you know if they ever resumed their relationship after that initial breakup?
No, they were just friends.
Okay. And I want to circle back to something you said earlier when you testified about initially hearing the shots. How do you know that the shots were an AK-47?
I'm from the projects. I know what an AK-47 sound like.
Okay. And is it fair to say that you've heard it shot on more than one occasion?
Just once again, I'm from the projects.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And how do you know, I'm going to circle back to something you said earlier. How do you know that Lil Woody was in the streets, as you say?
He was from McKinneyville.
Okay.
As everybody know, and 30 Deep was from McKinneyville.
Do you know Lil Woody to be a part of 30 Deep at that time? Did you know him to be a part of 30 Deep?
No, I did not. I just know they reside in McKinneyville.
And when you say 30 Deep, what do you know that to be?
It was a gang. It was a group of guys that went around running in stores, running out with blue jeans.
You started to say something, and it sounded like you hesitated. Were you about to say, what were you about to say?
About what?
About 30 Deep, when you said it was a group, and then you hesitated. What were you about to say?
It was a group of guys that ran in and out of stores stealing blue jeans.
Is it fair to call that group of guys that do what you just described a gang?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. Don't answer that, please. Do you have personal knowledge that Lil Woody was a part of 30 Deep?
No, I do not.
Okay. When Deshaun and Lil Woody ended up breaking up, did they continue a co-parenting relationship that worked?
As long as he was out of jail.
Okay. Did you know the group that you described Lil Woody to be around ever to be known as the Blue Jean Bandits?
I think the media gave them that name.
Sustained.
Do you know the name of Blue Jean Bandits?
Objection, Your Honor, relevant.
Sustained.
Just a brief moment. Your Honor, may we approach?
I'm sorry, what you say?
May we approach, Your Honor, on the last ruling, briefly?
You may. All right, you can proceed, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you know what kind of car Woody drove?
Woody didn't own a car.
Okay. Did he operate one from time to time?
You know, he probably had plenty of people probably gave him their car, but I don't think he actually owned the car.
Okay. You earlier said that you didn't want Woody to spend the night at your home. Were there times that you found out that he did?
Yes.
And based on the frequency of him being at the house, strike that. I want to ask that question, Your Honor. Have you heard of a person by the name of Demise McMullen, or AKA Nard?
I heard of a Nard.
Okay. And have you ever seen him around the area of 88 Venera Avenue?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Probably need some clarification as to when witnesses says he knows a Nard.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
I do understand.
Okay.
How do you know Nard?
I couldn't hear you.
That's not the objection, and that doesn't address the issue. The issue would be whether or not the person he knows as Nard is the other name mentioned by the prosecutor.
All right. I'll ask a foundational question, Your Honor.
All right.
All right. Do you know the Nard that you're speaking of to be one of the defendants in this case?
No.
Okay. Is that a no, you don't know for certain, or is that a no, that is not the person you're talking about?
That is not the person I'm talking about.
No. Just a brief indulgence, Your Honor. No further questions for this witness.
Thank you. Are there defense questions for this witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
No. All right. Mr. Yarborough, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
State House Janice Merriweather.
Yes, I do.
State and spell your name first and last name.
My name is Janice Merriweather, Janice Merriweather.
Good morning, Ms. Merriweather.
Good morning.
Do you have a son by the name of? Do you have a son by the? Did you have a son by the name of Kenneth Hurst, aka Kenny Boo?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Hurst have any children prior to his passing?
Yes.
How many children did he have?
6.
And do you have any other children?
No, those are my only son.
Do you have any daughters?
Adopted daughters, yes.
All right. Do you have any more grandchildren?
No.
Okay.
I have 2 great grands.
Okay. And was there a time that you resided at 193 Hendricks Avenue?
Yes.
And just a brief moment, Your Honor. Do you know Waikeithia Brock?
Yes.
And who is that to you?
My grandkids' mother.
Okay. And how many grandchildren did she give you?
4.
And what is her relationship to Kenneth Hurst?
Was his girlfriend.
Okay. And I want to ask you a few questions, Ms. Merriweather. Do you recall your home being shot up on January 12th, 2015?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall law enforcement coming out that day in reference to such activity?
Like I said, I can't remember. The only time I remember was 2015.
Yes, that's the date I just referenced, January 12th, 2015.
That might have been it.
Okay. It's fair to say it's been a while since that date. Yes, ma'am. And on that day of January 12th, 2015, what were you doing when your house was shot up?
In the bed.
Okay. Were you asleep?
Yes.
And was it early morning?
Yes.
Okay. And at the time that you heard the shots ring out and hit your home, what, if anything, did you do at that time?
Got on the floor.
Okay. And was anyone else home with you at that time?
Yes.
Who was with you at home?
Charlisa Gaines, Lucille Moore, and Charlisa Kids.
Who is Charlisa Gaines?
My adopted daughter.
Okay. And who is Lucille Moore?
My mother.
Okay. And do you recall about how long the shots rang out?
How long did they?
Yes, ma'am.
Say that again.
Yes, ma'am. Did the shooting last a long time or a short time?
It lasted a pretty long time to shoot up my house.
Yes, ma'am. Which of your grandchildren were there at that time?
He was a baby, Cam.
Okay. And was there a time during that, before or after that shooting, that Charlisa came to the home, if you recall?
Charlisa came to the home. I think it was before the shooting. I'm not. I think it was before the shooting.
Okay. Did she come after the shooting occurred to pick up her children?
No. Was it before or after? It had to be before the shooting.
Okay.
Because he had to get on the floor too.
Okay. And when, after the shots were fired, do you know who called the law enforcement?
I called them then.
Okay. And did they respond to your home? Did they come?
Yeah, they came.
And
I don't know what time it was, but they came.
Okay. Do you recall if the shot sounded like a handgun or a bigger gun?
A bigger gun.
When you say a bigger gun, do you say does it sound like it went in rapid succession?
Yeah, like that.
Okay. Was anyone hurt as a result of the shooting?
No, nothing but my house.
And when you say your house, what property outside of the structure of the home was affected?
My windows.
Okay.
My furniture, my dining room, my TVs, my washroom, bedroom.
And prior to these first and second shootings of your home at 193 Hendricks Avenue, had anything like that ever happened at your home before?
No.
Okay. Do you know who would have done such a thing to your home?
No, I don't.
Okay. Was anyone present inside your home? I know you said you were gone, but was anyone else present inside your home on February 10th, 2015, when the second shooting occurred?
I don't know because I wasn't there.
Just a few questions. A few more questions for you, Mrs. Merriweather. How long have you lived at the location that we're talking about, your home?
Ever since 1993.
I am showing you now, Ms. Merriweather, State's Exhibit 200 Delta Delta Delta. What is it that you're looking at in this exhibit?
Pool table.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Pool table.
Fans prior and shown again today, which is identified already as State's Exhibit 200 Delta Delta Delta. And before departing from you, Mrs. Merriweather, you stated that this is a pool table. And is this pool table the one that you stated that used to be in the back of your home, depicted in State's Exhibit 200 Delta Delta Delta? And do you see any persons in State's 200 Delta 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 that you can identify by name?
Can I hold it?
Yes, ma'am. All right.
My son, Kenneth Hurst.
Okay. Do you see anyone else in this photo
I
that
don't
you
know the
recognize?
rest of those.
Is it common? Was it? And let me ask this question: does this picture fairly and accurately represent the back of your home as you remember it to be when the pool table was there? Your Honor, at this time, the state now moves to admit into evidence State's Exhibit 200 Delta Delta Delta.
It's admitted.
I'm going to leave this here with you and just ask you a few more questions. How often, if you can recall, would your son be in the back playing pool?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to relevance.
It's relevant, Your Honor. It's relevant, Your Honor. It's hopefully the state's hope is that it will be developed with the questions that follow.
I'll give you a couple of questions to establish that.
All right.
Go ahead.
Just a brief moment, Your Honor. Depicted as State's Exhibit 200, Delta, Delta, Delta to social media.
No, I don't know nothing about no social media.
All right. Just a few more questions, Miss Merriweather. Do you know a person by the name of Kenneth Copeland, also known as Lil Woody?
Yes.
How do you know him?
My grandkid uncle.
Okay. There was someone that brought you in the courtroom today and helped assist you to get positioned where you're currently seated. Is that the same person that you're talking about named Lil Woody?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you known Lil Woody?
It's been a while.
Okay. Has he ever been over your home?
Yeah, he used to come now.
Okay. Does he still come?
No.
Okay.
My son ain't there. What he gonna come for?
Okay. All right. And Mrs. Merriweather, lastly, does this conclude your involvement with this particular case?
Do what now?
Is that all that you have to offer the jury at this time?
That's all I know. My son was killed. That's all I know.
Okay. I understand. Thank you so much. No further questions, Your Honor.
Are there defense questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Yes.
No questions, but I would like to.
Okay. Do I need to keep the witness? Okay. Miss Merriweather, thank you for your time, and you are excused.